Hello everybody and welcome to TheKabooblesProject. I'm your host Cora. Thank you so very much for joining me. Here at TheKabooblesProject we sculpt a bunch of different minis for 3D printing, for playing in tabletop games of your choice really. And today is no exception, with the exception of that we today have a bit of a commission on behalf of a charity of our user's choice, of our requester's choice. Today is Underground DM. Thanks so much to Underground DM for making this commission. Of course, we only ask that you make a little donation to charity of your choice, really, whichever charity you would want to support, and basically just whatever you can afford or whatever you think this little mini is worth. This is a request from Underground DM to create an Equitaras, which comes from Stibbles Codex of Companions. It's effectively a little, like a baby reptile of sorts, with a little kind of almost slightly dragon-esque, like a baby dragon, but without wings and with these spines down its back, and inhabits a space somewhere between cute and slightly sort of with the potential to be scary as it gets a bit older, maybe. Who knows? So here we have this little reptilian creature that we're starting to build. Of course, we have to be a bit careful when we're designing something completely unique for Equitaras. For the Equitaras, we don't want to use the art that's available and just kind of create some kind of creation that's built out of that art, because, you know, that art is somebody else's. So we're going to try and draw from a number of different sources, little reptilian creatures, and try and create something completely unique. In order to do that, I've drawn from a bunch of different sources around different kinds of reptile heads, and I wanted one with like this little small mouth. So the mouth is sort of derived from a cat's mouth almost, with the sort of nasal structure of a like a lizard of some kind, and then the eyes of some like amazing fantasy art that I found online. These really big kind of what could be kind of dark reflective eyes in the painting, who knows. But with that, we started to kind of build it, and it's somewhere between like snake and crocodile and cat, the face. That's where we're headed, which might seem to you to be a bit weird, and you'd be right, it's a bit weird, but I quite enjoy it. So we started with the head and built ourselves a little face, and then I wanted to get the major forms of the body down, and so we started working on the legs. The legs gave me quite a bit of hassle. I knew what I wanted the feet to be like. I wanted them to be almost like the Barrios from Monster Hunter, if you've played it. These really big, kind of chunky feet with these claws that are kind of hooked and slightly bladed almost out of the ends, three-toed feet, without a sort of toe at the back. I knew I wanted this sort of fairly sturdy feet, but I didn't quite know what I wanted the leg structure to be like. You know, we've got this sort of reverse angled knee joint in certain animals and not in others. And so what we decided was to kind of replicate it off of dog legs almost. So the front legs are more are straighter, longer, designed for kind of agile movement. And the back legs are where the kind of reverse joint comes in with the power for sort of fast movement itself. So to gain that power to charge forward into battle, even though he's not really going to be charging into battle very much. He's tiny. But that's where we're headed. So we build these little feet, and the feet really give this little creature his personality, I think, because it gives us a good sense of what this creature is going to be like. The big feet, the sort of chunky little body that's low to the ground. I can imagine him being like a lizard dog when he grows up a little bit. Who knows? I've genuinely no idea where we're winding up with this. With the legs, it takes a lot of time to get them right. We want to get those forms right, and one of the things that I know that we want to get right in the beginning is this one paw in the air. It might remind you of Koshi from when we built Koshi back in the day. I love this kind of pose for animals where they have one paw up, and it also gives us the opportunity to bring the face up as if it's looking up and to the side slightly, perhaps into the eyes of a larger creature like a parent or something, or perhaps into the eyes of a person companion, like a player companion in Dungeons and Dragons or something. The reason why we want the head to be tilted up, apart from anything else, is because the whole piece faces are really important in painting, right? You want the face to be where you spend the most of your time in the paint, because people's attention is naturally drawn towards the face when they look at the mini. So we don't want the face looking down, particularly in a small mini, because it's going to be harder to paint, and moreover, it's going to like obscure the face to the viewer. So we want the creature to be kind of looking up, and allowing us to use this little claw, this little hand in the air, just gives it the appearance like he's sort of pawing at something, or sort of asking for something with his little face up in the air. And his little mew that we're going to give him later, we're going to open his mouth and give him a little mewing. Spines next, as we go down the back with duplicated spines. We created the spines very straightforwardly using a plane, a solidify modifier, and a subdivision surface modifier, and then just shaping the plane up so that it looks about right, and then literally just duplicating it down the spine. I mean, there's a way that you can do that using an array modifier, a curve modifier, and then like perhaps something along the lines of like a mesh modifier to bring the thing like down and shrink it as it gets longer and to curve it around, although the curve modifier would take care of some of that. So there's some generative topology that we could use modifiers to create there, but I quite like, because we're doing it with a mini, I like just duplicating them because I can place each one individually, and I just quite enjoy doing that really. It allows me to have quite a deep level of control about where those things are placed. It's time for mewing! His little mouth has got to open so that I mean, open mouths, even if they're just a little open, can really give character to a mini. Mostly because you can also sculpt little teethies in there, and that can tell you something about this creature. It helps the creature to inhabit a sort of cute space as well, because we can give him his little baby teethies, give him his little kitten teeth. Which tells us something about what this creature is. You know, it makes him less threatening when he has these kind of slightly kitteny teeth, but also like they're slightly, you know, snake-like, these teeth, as I reflect upon it. And so there's a sort of viper-esque feel to him, which I quite like. I don't hate that as another sort of another source from which to draw as we sculpt this thing. And with the teeth and with the mouth open, we can then start to work on some expressions. So we add some wrinkles in here. We sort of add some gum line in there so that the teeth are sort of set into gums and they're separate from the lips, just, you know, to give it some visual interest. We add a little wrinkle or two in there to make it look like he's giving an ever so slight snarl. Anybody who's seen my videos before will know that I am partial to a bit of a snarl in our minis, and we bring it together. And that's our next step. Once we've done some good detail work, we then just need to get the whole thing into one piece so that we can sculpt all the pieces together. I'm happy with the sort of form of it. We keep everything separate for quite a while into the piece, largely because it gives us the ability to pose things very easily late into the sculpt. But at this point, we're getting to a level of detail where we really can't get away with it anymore. We've got to bring the thing together. So effectively what we do is, instead of booleaning the piece together, which you can do, what we decided to do was to join the piece. Everything we wanted to be in one piece, we joined together, and then we remeshed it effectively. Simple voxel remesh, and then that gives us a full, complete unit to work from with, you know, a single manifold mesh to work with, which is nice. And then we literally just smooth all the sides together and start to go to town on details. We just go to a deeper level of detail. And again, we're going to work a lot on the face, just because that's where people's attention is going to be drawn, so we do a lot of work on the eyes. With the eyes, we sort of use the crease modifier to bring those lids into existence, and then you can see we can go along the edges using a bit of a flatten brush to just give the lids that sort of edge right next to the eye, because it shouldn't be flush against the eye, it should have that slightly flattened appearance. So we do a little bit of that. We add the tear duct into the center of the eyes just to give it that extra hint of realism, and we crease up ever so slightly along the sort of close of the eye, just on the outer creases to firm that up. And we just continue to add details, really, where the creature's got like folds coming in, where it's moving arms and legs in, and where the spines are coming out. We're going to add some kind of rounded edges there. We're going to add some little sort of fat rolls as this little arm sort of pushes fat against his body, and we add some sort of we add some inflation around the edges of the spines, and we dig into where the spines are, just as you do with teeth. And the reason you do that is to make them clear that they are sort of pushing out of the creature as it's growing. So they push the kind of skin and flesh out of the way. It sort of yields to these spines as they grow, which just gives it just a touch more realism again. With that done, we want to kind of just finish this piece off now. So what we're doing is creating a little base for it, and that allows us to basically create a flattened base, which we can check that all the feet are in exactly the right position, because, you know, you want this thing to be able to stand up when it's printed. So put it on a flat base, and now we're just looking at it in different lights to get a sense of what it would look like printed, just to make sure that the final piece is exactly as we would hope it would be. And it's looking pretty good. We can add a very basic plastic little, like a plastic material to it to make it look roughly like it would look printed. We join it all together, run it through the 3D print tools to make sure that it's a single manifold mesh, waterproof manifold mesh, and then we get it up and get it ready. This is our little creature here. This is an Equitaras. Thanks so much once again. We look forward to seeing you next time.